3, 2, 1. What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Here the Spirit, presented to you by NoleGameDay.com. We are here on a Wednesday night, not a Thursday night, but a Wednesday early evening night because we have the NFL draft to preview heading into tomorrow. Big time weekend ahead, which we will be discussing a lot of. Most certainly, number one, Jermaine Johnson, who has a potential to be an early Thursday night pick. Florida State fans should be excited for that. Along with a transfer that hit the portal, Florida State loses a defensive end with Quashon Fuller. We will discuss that and how that affects Florida State moving forward into 2022. And then VZ has a couple things lined up for us basketball-wise to give us some updates there on some new official signees. And we will most certainly go ahead and give you guys the rundown on all of that. As always, in this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. If you're on that YouTube right now, hit the like button. If you're on iTunes, subscribe. Or if you're on iTunes, also rate us 5 stars if you want to. I'm not forcing you, but definitely appreciate it. Gentlemen, good evening. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Good to see you guys. But we're missing Dustin Osavizi up there with the lead basketball writer, Sports Illustrated, NoleGameDay.com, and then Nate Greer, lead recruiting insider, Sports Illustrated's NoleGameDay.com. How we doing, fellas? Happy Wednesday.
Is it really missing someone if we don't want them to be here?
I know. I'm ready for Jermaine to get paid.
Oh, yeah, same.
He's going to get paid.
Handsomely.
Yeah,
handsomely.
I think
it's going to be, it sounds like, top 5 is almost coming very realistic.
Yeah, no joke.
It's certainly getting there. I mean, I don't talk about it, but it's certainly looking that way, at least a little bit.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's rising. We'll get to that in just a few. But, one of my favorite times of the year is the NFL draft. And I think it's also Austin's. But just being able to sit there and, a handful of these players will come out and end up being stars for the NFL. And, maybe not so much of a heavy draft for Florida State. But if you want a star power guy on a Thursday night, which you always want to have, you've got that. So Florida State fans should be very excited for what should be a really exciting night in Las Vegas, which I don't even know how that's going to go. We'll talk about that in a minute, but they've got some crazy stage set up too for some of these big guys walking across that water. But let's jump into the really big news. Nothing too significant this week coming out of Tallahassee in the Florida State football program. The biggest thing and the only thing really is Florida State's defensive end, Quashon Fuller, electing to leave the program and enter his name into the NCAA transfer portal. This is a veteran guy that was looking to have a pretty big spring to jump into the very early rotation and try to jump ahead of some other players and compete with Derek McLendon, along with a new transfer, Jared Verse. But I think Verse might have ruined that show. How big of it is a hit right here for Florida State, Nate? Maybe not so in a starter's realm, but depth-wise heading into 2022, you think?
I think it is a depth hit, but I think it's pretty clear after spring that, he got passed up. And, we talked about last week about defensive end and how we think it unfolds, but he had to have a solid spring to be in that 2 deep. And I think he just got passed. You have, Briggs moving over, that made it harder for him. And with the emergence of Patrick Payton and getting some really good quality play from Verse and McClendon taking that next step, I just think he got passed. And he's a guy going into his 3rd year, so playing time very important for him, and he's not going to get that at Florida State, not what he wants or thinks he deserves. So, he's making the decision to look somewhere else. And for me, I think that's what it just comes down to, is that it's limited minutes, limited reps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, too, for Fuller, great guy, whenever we've been able to conversate with him, definitely represented Florida State very well. And I thought he had a decent spring, but, the factor of having a guy like Jared Verse come in with that immediate impact that he had in the spring and then be able to jump. We see him running with the 1s, 2 in the latter half of spring camp. That kind of diminishes your thought of, hey, well, I've been here for this long and I feel like I should get a little bit more playing time. And I'm sure maybe some conversations went down with Mike Norvell and Adam Fuller on that situation. But the factor of losing probably a depth piece is where you want to look at this out of everything, and that stinks.
Yeah, he has some plays that, the Notre Dame game far and away is his best game. He had as a Knoll, and they had those 2 back-to-back plays, and he played a lot last year in a backup role, but still, didn't really necessarily impact the game. He just provided minutes for the starters to get a break. So I know there was some discussion on Twitter about how much of a loss this is, and like I said, for me, it's just a depth piece. I don't think he's in the 2 deep, and when it comes down to it, they're going to rotate the 4 guys. I think when it comes down to it, so I wish him luck, like you said, Logan. He's been a pretty good Knoll since he was at FSU. So sometimes it just doesn't work out. Guys develop quicker, or guys come onto the scene, or it's just a different game now in college football. So,
yep. And I was just about to bring this up here, and you put this on one of the guys to watch out for to have a breakthrough spring, Nate, on one of your pieces at Sports Illustrated, NoGameDay.com. You talked about Pat Payton, young defensive end who put on some significant size, and I was having a good time being able to text you and give you the details while at camp, watching him have some dominant series, and we heard really good things out of one of the scrimmages this spring camp. And if you're looking for a guy, you lose Quashon Fuller, yes, but if you're a fan right now looking for a guy to step up, who's that going to be? My opinion right now, it's number 56, Pat Payton.
I agree. I mean, I think that Verse, Fuller, McClendon are your top 3, but I think like I've said numerous times, I just think that the staff is really high on Payton coming in as a pass rusher. He's gifted. He understands, even though he's not the biggest guy coming in, he understood leverage and how to use his hands. Very fast off the edge, and he's been able to maintain that while putting on 40 pounds. So, it's coming together for this kid, like you want it to. Not every kid is a 6'5", 240-pound high school senior. You got to let these recruits grow into what their frames could be. And this is a guy who, worked his tail off last year. And show some potential in practice, and it's come together for him.
Yeah, no, it is. And like I said, Pat Payton, and this is far off, and we're looking at the future. This doesn't necessarily affect 2022 season, but just in the defensive end room while we're on it, I really like too the strides and the start for Dante Anderson. Still has a lot of room to work, most certainly, yes. Technique, putting on more size. But I will say Dante Anderson showed up a lot bigger to spring camp than I thought he would as a true freshman coming in. We don't know fully still yet from FSU side. Full scholarship, half scholarship. Don't really give a damn. Just from what we saw, though, on the field, I saw some really nice reps from Dante Anderson. That's future. This really doesn't affect like how Quashon Fuller would be this upcoming next season. But I do think this is a decent hit to Florida State's defensive end room, but it's not going to hurt it. It's not going to be a brutal one. I think Florida State feels at least confident there in that room, and maybe they saw that they want to give Pat Payton some more playing time, and they want to get him out there for what they expect maybe he to have a big 2023 season. So maybe they want to throw him in there more.
Yeah, I mean, just from the couple conversations and the writing on the wall, it seems like the staff is going in a different direction than maybe what's been on the field the past few years. So I'm sure they had a conversation, like you said, that came down to playing time, and not going to get it here. So that's just what it is.
Yeah. So best of luck to him and Quashon Fuller. He'll get, if he's electing to try to go play elsewhere, I think he'll grab a great opportunity
Now, I'm sure he'll get picked up by a really solid school.
Yep, exactly. Let's jump into some NFL draft, gentlemen, because that's mainly why we're here, right, Austin?
Second favorite time of the year. It's March Madness, then NFL draft.
The mic came on. I heard the mic come on. I was like, yeah, VZ's ready.
Love it. I love this weekend. It's
we're all three NFL guys, aren't we?
I like trying to figure out who's going to be the sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
And, especially trying to figure out who's going to be the guy for the, for fantasy football. Who's going to be that guy who's going to surprise people. That's what helps you win those leagues is, this guy who may be a second, third, or fourth round NFL pick, but gets in the right system and just balls out. So, I kind of, like a little bit like recruiting. I like figuring out who's going to be, who's going to be the guy, because there's always sleepers and always busts. Trying to figure out who that's going to be.
Y'all's biggest storylines going into this? What is the ones have y'all been watching out of everything going on so far? Is it quarterbacks? Is it ends that seem to be with Kayvon Thibodeau?
Yeah, it's got to be the edge rushers. Yeah. Really how that plays out. Because there's a very realistic scenario where the first three is Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, and Kayvon Thibodeau. And if that happens, Jermaine Johnson is looking at 4 at the Jets going, man, it might be for a nice payday here. I think it's really just how this top 5 works out, because obviously you got some good tackles on the board, and Ekwonu and Evan Neal. Ahmad Gardner's had a really nice pre-draft process. It's gonna be interesting to see how that top 5 plays out, but especially those edge guys, because who knows what the hell the Jags are gonna do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't really understand Walker going first.
No,
I don't know, and like we talked about in our little chat, it seems like they've pegged Thibodeau as the character concern, and I don't understand that one either. But it looks like Jermaine's going to be the benefactor, because he's nailed this pre-draft process really well. So having a great season and then nail this process, great Senior Bowl, combine, meetings, everything. So it wouldn't surprise me for him to be the third one off the board.
Yeah, I mean, even after the season, they're saying Johnson's like, maybe like an early second, he might sneak into the back end of the first. Then he goes to Senior Bowl, is by far the best player there, which we talked about on this podcast. Has done well in seemingly every interview, every pre-draft meeting. He's done as well as any player in this process to get himself paid. And now he's at worst, a top 10 pick? I mean, maybe at the very worst, 13 to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's
like
10 at this point.
That's like the baseline for him now. I think that's like the bottom.
And we know the Jets like him, and they have 2 picks in the top 10.
Yeah, I was invited to a Jets space last night, which was pretty weird and crazy, because New York people, they're wild, but being able to talk with them and their high interest, being able to speak with Damian Woody from ESPN, that was wild experience. But just to be able to talk about Jermaine Johnson, one of the biggest questions that they had for me was character concerns about Jermaine. And I was like, well, what's going on here? And what they were talking about was, why did he go from Georgia to Florida State in a year? And so I was able to spell on that and just truly show what he did here in Tallahassee. Hasn't even been here for a year, really. And what he was able to accomplish buying into Mike Norvell's program after only winning 3 games the previous year, and buying into that coach, the process, and the system. And I also noted that, do you look at Georgia's defensive line class, specifically this draft, and see those guys going, so would you blame a guy for him to come here and have an immediate playing time and have that impact and be the ACC Defensive Player of the Year and rack up all of those stats? Doesn't really. I kind of told him, don't be too concerned about that. And I also don't understand too much of homeboys. I keep on friggin' forgetting his name, but Kayvon Thibodeau. There you go. Kayvon Thibodeau's there's always one player that you're worried about, character, all that kind of stuff. But I think he's just simply thinking of the future and thinking about business stuff. And he went to Oregon and do his thing there. And maybe the lack of maybe playing the production and their Pac-12 championship this last season. But I'm not too worried about Kayvon Thibodeau and what he's going to do.
We kind of saw that thing with Micah Parsons last year, right? I mean, Micah
Mhm.
Parsons was seen as like a top 5 guy, and he ended up going, what was it, 11th to Dallas? I mean, so it happens every year with one guy, whether it's legitimate or not. It always happens to somebody. And it's the same thing with Thibodeau. We've heard as high as the number 1 overall pick, and we've heard as low as outside the top 10.
Yeah. No, it keeps rising.
Ian Rappaport, was talking. I saw it on Twitter where coming into the process based off the season, some were saying, late first, at the best mid first round, but he's really starting to hear he's a hot commodity at defensive end. So, how shocked would you be if he gets taken second behind Walker and he goes before Hutchinson?
It's hard to see Hutchinson falling past Detroit.
Oh,
he's Michigan born and raised. Hard to see Hutchinson going past 2. Especially that's a Dan Campbell kind of guy.
Yeah, but I don't really understand the Bosa comparisons and everything, but
no. He doesn't have the same athleticism, really.
No. I think he's going to struggle a little bit in the pros.
It's one of those draft classes, like, there's no bona fide guy, and it's weird. In the past, we've had the Bosas, we've had the Chase Youngs, we've had the Myles Garretts.
And I like that. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, because there's so many different things that could happen just because there's no true number 1 option. And there's no true, like, number 1 quarterback that everyone's going to trade their entire future for.
Mm-hmm. Like that top 3, top 5 is like there's a lot of question marks on what teams want to do, and I think teams are still trying to figure that out too. They like a lot of players, and so that's why you got to really think: do I want Jermaine Johnson or do I want to go with Thibodeau just because that's the guy since day 1 going into the 2021 season, and we've kept a good eye on him, or do you go Jermaine Johnson, whose draft stock has continued to rise and rise? Because when we were going into the 2021 season and through the middle of that, we were like, okay, this is. People were talking about him chirping a little bit late or, late first, early second. And then, he kills it that Miami game. And you're like, okay, he's put himself nationally on the map. And then this is a first round guy. And then you see him go kill it at the Senior Bowl. He kills it at the Combine. Of course, they love the way that he ran his 40. And then you look over to, his pro day matching with Kayvon Thibodeau in the bench press. And then it seems like dominating those interviews with scouts, coaches, assistants, everything of that nature. That's the thing that I think that's why it just keeps on rising and rising on these draft boards. And the Jets love him. And I can tell you all those fans in there last night love Jermaine Johnson. They'd love to have him. They also want a corner. They also want an offensive lineman for their quarterback, but they also have 2 picks in the top 10. So they can kind of move around a little bit. Mm-hmm. But they still want a corner and they still want a defensive end. But in my opinion, what's more essential is a defensive end. So
best case for them would be probably, take Gardner if he's available at 4, then hope whoever's the best end at the next spot.
I mean, there's so many teams in the top 10 that need edge help. I mean, we've already talked about the top 3. The Jets need edge help. The Giants need edge help. The Falcons need anything. The Seahawks need edge help. I mean, there's just so many teams in that top 10. Like 7 of the 10 picks could take a defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
So Johnson's in a great scenario. Really, he really is.
Yeah, and I think too. He'll be there. He's already in Vegas right now doing interviews, and I believe he told us too before Pro Day that he's holding an event up there in his hometown with some of his family too to watch the NFL draft. So that'll be awesome for that. And so we'll get a good, nice raw reaction of him in Vegas.
Man, it'd be so cool if he went to the Vikings. Eden Prairie, Minnesota native. I mean, that's where
that'd be a nice defensive end class.
Yeah, and that's where the Vikings training facility was for a long time, was Eden Prairie.
Yep. Hometown.
That'd be really cool. I don't think it's going to happen, especially with the Vikings signing Darius Smith in the offseason, but having a trio of edge rushers and Smith, Johnson, and Danielle Hunter, that'd be scary.
Yeah.
How bad do you – this doesn't have anything to do with FSU, but the quarterback class, I think there's not a first-round pick, and, there's going to be 2 or 3 teams that draft a quarterback in round 1 that are going to, I think, regret it in 3 years.
No, I think I'm not sure.
Let's make it FSU related, because there's a lot of talk about the Saints taking a quarterback, but I don't think they would trade for a second first-round pick if they thought there was going to be a quarterback that help them win. Because you know the Saints, they want to win now. They're going to try and get 2 guys that can help this team win now. I don't see them selecting a quarterback just to sit.
Jameis was winning last year before he got hurt, so I wouldn't. If I were them, I would wait and see what happens with Jameis and how he looks. I understand that, but I think we'd all agree Willis is probably the best prospect, but I don't think any of these guys are round 1 potential. I think Sam Howell, played himself out of round 1. I think after his first 2 seasons, he had it all over him. Top 5 pick, and he struggled last year. But I think some of that was part of the offense and only having 1 guy back and losing the 2 running backs. I think some of that was the offense. I'm still a big fan of Sam Howell, but I just don't know if there's I think I saw Willis take it at like number 5 for the Giants. I'm like,
you've seen him go as high as 2 to Detroit. I mean, there's a lot of talk about that, and you also have to think Detroit has 2 picks in the top. I think in like the 30 to 35 range, they have 2 picks right in that range, so they could package both of those, get in the top 20, and go up and take them.
Well, how bad does Detroit want to suck for how much longer?
It's Detroit. It's what they're known for. I mean, they're going to do this for eternity. I mean, obviously, Pittsburgh likes Malik Willis. I know Logan's smiling behind his microphone over there.
Oh, yeah.
Surely there's going to be teams that see that and want to jump him.
Freaking Pickett.
Oh, yeah. Whatever. What did you just say? Well, I'm getting Malik Willis, so I'm not getting Kenny Pickett. Get me off of that.
It seems like Pickett's falling because I've seen a lot of like mid-second round for him lately. There's a lot of talk at one point where he was going to Carolina at number 6. Like this quarterback class is all over the place. You didn't even mention Desmond Ridder, who it seems like he's getting a lot of buzz this last week or 2 leading up to the draft, and I don't get that one at all. Yeah, Carson Strong had a lot of hype at one point, but I think he's now like late day 2 guy.
Yeah, it seems like Ridder has dropped or jumped maybe Pickett into that second position.
I think so. I think it's Willis and Ridder, and then you can make that argument for third between, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, and Kenny Pickett for that third one.
I'd stay away from Matt Corral, in my opinion.
Would too. Yeah, I would too.
Just the injuries and you talk about character. He's a little bit of a turd, and I wouldn't go as far as Johnny Manziel, but he's very Baker Mayfield-ish.
Yeah. Now this quarter. That's the thing. It's like it's going to be entertaining. Like I know that the big talk, whatever, is that there isn't like prize thing, like prize fire. This is not like a class full of just monsters everywhere. But I think there's definitely talented players, most certainly. But this is what's going to make it really interesting because these teams are in desperate needs of a lot of things, and there's going to be I think it's going to be full of trades. And I know my Steelers, I don't think Willis is going to last all the way down to 20. I just don't see that really happening. I think they're going to have to make a move. I think they're going to have to make them. I think it could be us. We could do it again for not we got our running back. We trade up to get Najee last year. Let's do it again. This is not a guy that's going to play year 1. No, but there's a lot. That's the thing. There's a high ceiling with Malik Willis. There's a lot of things to still work with on him.
Or is there a scenario where like a team like let's say a team like Atlanta, they need so many things. Let's say they trade back to like the 15-16 range, and then Malik Willis is sitting there going, well, we kind of suck anyways. Let's just take him now.
Or the Panthers.
Yeah, the Panthers.
That's what I'm worried about.
Or the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm worried about the Panthers. I think they're gonna have to make a move. I think the Steelers and Giants are gonna have to talk and figure something out. I don't know.
Who do you have as wide receiver number as the top?
I think Williams.
This is the best
Jameson
in a while. I mean, it's a deep draft.
I don't know if it's as good as last year's
group.
I thought last year's wide receiver class was really strong. Even the year before with when you had Justin Jefferson and those guys. It's a fun group between Garrett Wilson and Jameson Williams. I know Drake London gets a lot of love. I don't know how great he's going to be in the next level. Just because we've seen more route runners be great in the NFL now instead of those big physical go up and get them receivers. I think Chris Olave's really slept on right now. I know Traylon Burks from Arkansas is getting a lot of love. There's some really good receivers.
I think Olave is more of a one-trick pony. He's a deep route. Doesn't really block too much.
Some of the Saints would love to have. The Saints would love to have him for Jameis.
I think if Jameis
same with Jameis.
if Jameson didn't hurt his knee, I think he'd be a surefire top 10 pick.
I think he'd be. He's definitely top wide receiver in my opinion. If he wasn't hurt, absolutely.
I would put, a guy I'm watching is George Pickens. Before his injury, I wouldn't be surprised the team, take him in the second or third round.
The guy I really like is Jahan Dotson from Penn State. Just his catch rate is just insane for someone his size.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he goes to a team like the Chiefs, I
just can't support anyone from Penn State.
I feel that. I feel that. But Dotson was a lot of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's surefire guy that can grab the ball. You don't have to worry too much about that. I want to get to this. I've had this comment up here for a minute though, and this is from Antoine saying, is the draft hype really real on Akeem Dent? And we're talking about 2023 here. I saw he was projected first round next year by one site. That might have been us. We put the report out on it, but we didn't project that. I think he can have a big season, says Antoine. And so we put out a piece yesterday, which we were kind of, we were just always looking for content. And out of nowhere, one of our writers, Charleston, found a piece from WalterFootball.com projecting for the 2023 NFL mock draft Akeem Dent, Florida State defensive back, to be a first-round pick. Says Bill Belichick loves his versatile defensive backs. He'll need one with Devin McCourtney nearing retirement. Akeem Dent improved as this past season progressed. He can come play cornerback and safety. He's projecting him to be a number 14 overall pick for the 2023 class. And you're kind of forgetting Jamie Robinson here, too, if you're talking about a Florida State defensive back. But
well, I think Dent is, played pretty solid as a freshman, battled the injuries in year 2, took a major leap in year 3, in my opinion, found his home at safety. I think as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to really have a great shot for, at minimal, an all-conference type season. Looked great in the spring. He's a good athlete. He's someone that could go to a combine and do really well. If he could put more good tape out there. I don't know about 14. That seems a little high.
Yeah, I was just about to say safeties don't have much value these days. It goes running backs and then safeties as far as the least value positions right now.
Yeah.
Maybe linebackers, but it's tough to see him go top 20. As great of a season as he might have, that's just hard to believe, really.
But him being able to slide over the corner, I think would help him. But 14 seems kind of high.
You could look at a guy like Jalen Petrie from Baylor this year, who's going early second at best, and he could play safety, slot, corner. He could play anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Have y'all seen this?
I agree.
Have y'all seen this draft stage, which I think is going to be incredible tomorrow night?
I can't wait to see Jordan Davis get on it.
That's what I'm saying. So they've got these platforms. You're going to walk across. They got another one over here, and you're going to walk over here. I guess they're going to have fireworks. I want to see colored fountain for whichever team's getting picked first of all. And I also want to see like 2 defensive linemen or offensive linemen just go on a battle right here. And whoever gets knocked off first gets picked before that person. I think that's how it should be. Like battle each other out. Whoever gets thrown into the water first, boom, you don't get selected. You get it selected. Whoever stays on the platform. I think this is going to be awesome. I would love to have been there. We did get asked from SI if we wanted to go, but too much busy stuff going on. We'll be down in Tampa tomorrow at the $1 for doing some Bucks game day coverage. So looking forward to being down there and with the Bucks facility. No, then you didn't get your invite.
Yeah, why not?
They did their background check on you.
Oh,
they checked your Twitter. That's all they had to do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all. That was pretty good. But yeah, no, he did not disagree at all.
I would never change on Twitter.
Exactly. Well, that's what Twitter's for. We have a new father with Elon Musk. It seems like we'll have a little bit more free speech, a little bit more bullying, maybe. That's what I get. If I don't ever block anybody. Like that's the thing about Twitter. If someone hating on you, sending you stuff, then the thing is you get to tweet them back and say something to them. Mm-hmm. And then they can do it back and then you can do it. It's free speech.
Yeah, man.
It's fun. That's how it should be. I was going to just go to Yahoo real quick. This is the latest projection from them. I sound like I'm in a different country with that kind of voice I had there. But Jermaine Johnson to the New York Giants at number 7. Got Trayvon Walker going, Georgia defensive end. And Walker's been pushed up a lot, and I feel like the last 48 hours, has he not?
There's been a lot of talk. Apparently, Trent Baalke for the Jags likes guys with long arms, and Walker's got as long of arms as anybody in that defensive lineman class. But it's just like, I don't know how much of it was him, and how much of it was the rest of that D line at Georgia with Jordan Davis and what's the other guy's name? Devontae Wyatt.
Devontae Wyatt, yeah.
Those are 3 first-round guys. How much of it is really Walker? We'll see.
These mock drafts are all over the place, man. I'm telling you. You got Kayvon Thibodeau, Yahoo's projecting him to be picked by the Seahawks at number 9.
I think that with him, with Walker, I think that he came on late, national title, great defense. Is a phenomenal athlete. So I understand, but NFL always gets enamored with big athletes that maybe just get overdrafted. I don't understand him going number 1. I think he's a top 10 prospect, but first overall, I'm not sure.
No, it's wild. Let's jump into. We've gone through all of these storylines. I'm sure some more things will pop up too, but I want to jump into who's going to be selected possibly next for Florida State. And I think that's going to be between, Deshaun Corbin and Keir Thomas. I think we can start off with Deshaun. I think he fits better in a system like maybe a Kansas City where you're shuffling around a couple of other running backs. I don't think he's a pure starter kind of guy like you've got a Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry. Et cetera, McCaffrey, that's not your kind of running back. I think he's a guy that you can throw into a rotation of running backs. But we'll see. I think he's a guy that's a 3rd roundish, in my opinion. We'll see if he goes on the second day. Maybe there's maybe potential, but running backs still, they don't go early. So I wouldn't be shocked if you're looking at Saturday where he gets selected. But, we heard really good things about him in his prep interviews and looked good at the combine. So we'll see, but at least for the system, all I can really say is a system like Kansas City's where he can be used in a 3-headed, a 2-headed kind of running back room.
I like him actually in like Tampa Bay.
I was going to say Miami.
Just agree with you on the, I don't know if he's an every down 20 carry back, but and the way that, even like an offense like New England, that they use their backs a lot in the passing game. And that's something I think that, Corbin's pretty good at. And, like you said, he's had a pretty solid lead up to this, this whole process. So 3rd or 5th round anywhere for him.
I would be kind of surprised if he went that high. Just running backs are so undervalued these days. And just doing a quick, Google search, looking around, it seems like he's like a round 5, round 6 guy at best right now. NFL.com has him as an undrafted guy. It's just running backs just don't have much value these days. There's not many teams that need a running back. That's also part of the thing. Even a team like San Francisco, who rotates every running back possible, they have like 5 running backs right now.
What about him on special teams?
That's the thing.
That's got to add some value.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out, obviously, but I don't know. I don't see him going before round 5, but that's just me. I hope he does because I thought he was really good for Florida State this season.
I think, yeah.
We'll see.
I think value, or just if we're doing just player rankings right here, it'd be Jermaine Johnson and then Keir Thomas for me, and then Corbin. Just out of, if we're doing those kind of rankings, who goes first? It just really depends. I feel like it was total disrespect, and like I've been saying for months, someone should be arrested for not having an invite be sent to Keir Thomas to the NFL Combine. And, I think that put a chip on his shoulder going into pro day and such, and looked good, trimmed off some fat too, and looked quick. But I really like Keir Thomas. I'd take him in Pittsburgh in a heartbeat. It's just you saw what Jermaine Johnson did, and that was a highlight guy. But if you look at it, we talked about him every other week, if not every week, for getting awards from ACC of being the ACC Defensive Player of the Week.
He had 2 Defensive Lineman of the Week awards.
Yeah, there was a stretch there. It was just Jermaine and Keir,
domination,
back and back.
Just
it was like 5 straight weeks. It felt like.
I think he's going to be like a 5th or 6th round pick.
I think
someone's going to take him.
I think he's definitely against luck. I think it was one of those where, teams saw what he did in the season and go, oh, let's try and hide him by not inviting him to the combine and see if we can get him like late in like the 6th round. I think teams are trying to do that. But I don't know. We'll see. I really like Keir Thomas. I think he's really slept on in this process. I don't think he had the greatest pro day. I thought he was going to be a little bit stronger on the bench press.
Yeah.
But I still think he's a really good player.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely shocking.
How about the Callum Brooks? Was he getting drafted?
That dude was coming.
I'm sorry, man.
Hey, we love you, Derek Brooks, alumni of Here the Spear. Love you.
I mean, love Derek.
That's nothing about Derek Brooks. I'm just.
Yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, Keir, I'll take him. If Tomlin, you're doing you love edge rushers. Usually he comes to pro days every year. But I think because of the owners meeting being scheduled for FSU's pro day that weekend kind of screwed that. But Keir, we love you in Pittsburgh. Come on down, even though I don't live in Pittsburgh. But, I'm just speaking for our Pittsburgh people over there. And then let's talk about, maybe some guys that are on the fringe of really late Saturday to, picking up a practice squad deal. And I think number one out of these is probably Jordan Wilson, just because he was active in his last season at Florida State and his only season. And then Emmett Rice. I think those two, in my opinion, maybe Miko Dotson jumps in there because of his pro day, but he also wasn't fully healthy his last season, true season at Florida State too. I liked what he was whenever he was fully healthy. I thought he was going to be one of Florida State's better defensive backs, but it's going to be between these three. Definitely when we bring up DeKalen Brooks, and Emmett Rice, there's just no argument there. What looks like an NFL linebacker, that's Emmett Rice. And I'm pulling for Emmett. I think he leaks good, but I still think there's some work to be done with the NFL team. And I whenever I was at fall practices, a lot of the scouts were just and lust of Jordan Wilson, mainly maybe because of his size. But I remember them asking a couple of the assistants there, who's number 4? Who's number 4 right there on offense? And they like Jordan Wilson and heard a lot of good things about him. And we'll see if he ends up getting a draft pick, if not a practice squad. But there's gonna be a lot of Knowles that get some chances. Who do you think out of those three? Who do y'all think?
Jordan Wilson.
It's tough to imagine anyone else getting drafted, just in my opinion. Because with Wilson, I mean, how often do we really see blocking tight ends, get drafted these days? They look for those downfield threats, guys that create mismatches.
Which he almost did there in the latter half of the season.
Wilson's just a huge dude who's gonna punish you in the run game more than anything. I'm not saying he can't be a great threat down the field. That's just what he was last season. Then with Rice and Dotson, we didn't see them play last year. And I don't know that they have the tape in previous years to make a team go, yeah, we can take him like back half of the draft and take a chance on him. I don't know if there is that. I think Rice, if he was healthy last year, absolutely could have been taking the draft. He has that frame and that speed and that size that teams are starting to like to covet at their linebacker spots. He's a really rangy guy, sideline to sideline. But I don't know if teams trust the medicals right now.
Man, I feel so bad for Emmett because I feel like after 2 years ago, during that UF game, God, if he wasn't hurt, man, I think he was contemplating just going ahead and entering his name into the NFL draft. And I just hate that, injuries just hurt him so badly. But he told us he feels 100%, but I feel like he was already headed towards that NFL. If he would have finished off the season like he did and was a tackling machine in that Florida game, I think he would have just gone and entered the NFL draft.
Yeah, I agree with Austin. I don't think they have enough tape really to be considered a pick wise, but I can understand the undrafted free agent route.
Yeah, for sure. Especially a guy like Dotson, who I don't think he was ever fully healthy in his 2 years of Florida State. But he had a really good pro day. I think he's absolutely worth at least a camp invite.
Yep. No, I think a lot of these guys will.
It wouldn't surprise me if Rice is healthy, if he made it like a practice squad. I mean, he's a talented linebacker, like you said. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me for him to get signed as undrafted and head into the fall on some team's practice squad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that pretty much headlines Florida State's room. Not a big one. Next year's should be pretty fun to talk about if you're looking ahead at 2023 with Fabian Lovett, Robert Cooper,
Tate Rodemaker,
Jamie Robinson, Akeem Dent.
But yeah, Jamie, obviously Akeem Dent says it seems like Bill Belichick's going after Akeem Dent. Who else? You're already looking at.
Is there potential for Trayshawn? If
he has a good season, but it depends on the rotation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
With Benson
maybe Cam
coming
McDonald
in.
if he finally has production, because he has the size.
Yeah,
if McDonald can put the production to the size, I think he might get a look.
Tatum Bethune.
Yeah.
He has a good season. I'm missing somebody, and I feel like I'm a complete idiot. Well, who was being looked at an offensive line that was being projected?
Robert Scott.
Was that Robert Scott?
Yeah, but he's got to be healthy.
And we got to see an actual full season.
Yeah, he needs a full season of tape for any team to look at him. Really,
you think Dylan Givens gets a shot?
Maybe as a late round guy.
If he ends up being FSU's best lineman potentially.
Kim McDonald.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with McDonald. If he can find the production for that size.
I think Ontario Wilson's going to make it on a team somewhere.
The thing with Florida State is it's another thing. They need production. The receivers need production. There hasn't been a single guy the last 2 years have more than 400 receiving yards.
450. Come on, 450.
Okay. My point. Like,
could a guy explode like a Johnny Wilson or a Micah Pittman?
I think that you'll have a better passing offense. We've already kind of talked about it.
That'd be later, though, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least, but as noted, though, there's definitely at least 5 guys that we think that will be drafted, which is a whole different story from projecting there's still maybe 3.
Still plenty of offseason for them to go out and get another transfer if they wanted to.
Yeah. Offensive tackle, just throwing it out there, it wouldn't be a bad idea. But yeah, these two right here, down here, like Mendoza saying, Robert Cooper and Fabian will headline a lot of that along with Jamie. But those are two NFL products that are currently on Florida State's defensive line.
Yeah, I was about to say Derek McClendon. I think that'd be one to watch. If he has a season that some of us think he can have. Dennis Briggs, I think he'll get a look.
Maybe Jarrett Jackson, maybe Jarrett, maybe JJ. I'm excited for JJ in 2022. I am excited for him. I thought he had a really, really good spring.
What about Amari Gaynor?
No, I don't think drafted.
It depends how they utilize him this year because we've yet to see him.
It's just one of those hybrids again.
Yeah, we've yet to see him solidify a role. If he can figure out what it is, and if the staff can figure out what he is, and he plays well in that role, then maybe. But he's been here however long, and has yet to do the same thing, and not even year to year, but game to game.
But he also fits that profile of a guy that gets invited to a combine
and blows it up. Yeah,
and blows it up. We all know how he's a gifted athlete. It is what it is. But I think that he's just a little bit of a tweener. I really like him as a pass rusher, man. I really do. Maybe because that's what we saw a lot of him as a freshman, and he made an impact. But I don't know. I think if he gets a shot, I think he's a guy who would make the most out of it. Because athletes always figure out a way to make it. You may not have the experience on the field, but these guys get into a camp and they just make it. It's weird, you know.
Mm-hmm. Anything else from the NFL draft, gentlemen? Let's make a prediction for Jermaine Johnson. What do we think? What are we thinking? What do we got?
What's the remind me the top?
So it goes Jacksonville at 1.
Yeah, remind me 3 through 6.
Jacksonville 1, Detroit at 2, 3 is Houston, 4 is Jets, 5 is Giants, 6 is Carolina, 7 goes back to the Giants, 8 is Atlanta, 9 is Seattle, 10 is Jets.
I'm going to go the Jets. I'm going to go the Jets straight up to 3 to get them.
Ooh.
Because I know Houston has liked him too. It just seems like the Jets are kicking the tires pretty hard on Jermaine, and I think they go up one spot just to make sure they can get him.
To me, it depends on how the tackles shake out. Because if Ekwonu and Evan Neal come off the board early, I think Carolina may take like a guy like Charles Cross at 6.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a couple guys sitting on the board there, maybe they trade back and a guy trades up, and like a team like Houston trades back up to number 6 and takes them. For now, I'll say 8 to Atlanta. No
put some respect on that guy's name, man.
Yeah, I'll say 8 to Atlanta for now, maybe 9 to Seattle. But I'll see him falling past there really at this point.
Where are you going, Logan?
I think he's going Texans. I do think at number 3. I think he's going to go number 3. I think he's going to stay in that top 5 range. I just don't know. This thing's all over the place. I don't really believe all the whole Trayvon Walker stuff. I think this is going to be a heavy edge, and edge is so important now. Edge is so important rather than a defensive lineman going up in the middle.
It really does depend on that first pick, because if the Jags take Hutchinson first, I think Walker starts to fall a little bit, and
the edges will move up. They're going to start.
I think it's going to be the opposite. I think teams aren't going to feel as rushed to go up and get a guy like Jermaine. Right. If Walker goes first to the Jags, Hutchinson's going to go second to Detroit. Then teams are going to start going, oh, this is a 4-edge class. We got to go get one of these guys.
Yeah, that's why I think that. But if you had to pick, who would you choose? You know, I think I go Evan Neal. You know.
No, if you had the number 1 pick.
The Jags just signed Cam Robinson today to a long-term contract. So I don't know.
I'm not saying, you know, if it was my team, you know.
No, like if you're just starting a new team, you're taking first overall. Yeah, I would probably take Neal
out of talent. And build a team,
Neal or the kid from NC State, you know.
Ekwonu.
You know.
Who will go first, Jermaine or him? Who we saw during the Senior Bowl absolutely dominated, along with the game that they played the last season.
Jermaine flat dominated him.
Yeah, both things.
You just said it in the game and at the Senior Bowl. So, Jermaine, going 3rd overall.
Are you going with me? Okay, perfect.
I said it before you.
Yeah, he said someone's going to trade up to 3 and take him.
I said the Jets are going to move up one pick to get him.
I'm going to say Ekwonu goes 5 to the Giants, and then Jermaine's a couple picks after that.
Okay.
But why would the Giants? I don't know.
The Giants need offensive line. They need it desperately.
Yeah, they do, but you know, it just seems like they've also just given up on Daniel Jones. So why not just take the best player? Period.
Well, it's also the Giants that we're talking about. So
yeah, it's true.
Might be onto something. Might be onto something there.
That's true.
I can make that same argument for a lot of teams there. Make that same argument for the Jets.
I just don't want Jermaine in the Jets, man. I don't like the Jets.
I think they're only a few players away. I think the Jets are only a few players away from making a playoff run. From what we saw last season, I think they've got what they need. They just need a wide receiver.
Who are they going to beat
in that division?
Who are they going to beat?
No. Let's look at their schedule.
Not only that division, but that conference.
Yeah, Miami's gone full bore. The whole damn AFC's gone gone nutty.
It's going 80s arms race.
Yeah, yes. The AFC West is going to have 7 playoff teams. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. Like,
let's do their opponents.
Honestly, there's going to be 3 playoff teams out of the AFC West.
There may even be. I mean, there's a chance. Yeah,
all 4 of them.
All 4. Yeah, there's a chance. It really could be.
Hey, don't sleep on me when the Jets make a playoff run next year.
And
I won't be sleeping when the Jets are 5-12 next season.
They will not be. I don't believe it. I'm not a Jets fan or anything.
Just look at the division. You have to play the Bills twice a year. You have to play the Patriots twice a year, and you have to play the Dolphins twice a year. That's at best 2-4 against those 2 teams.
Dolphins have made major moves. The Bills are a Super Bowl front runner.
Not against us.
As long as Belichick's alive, New England will do something. Baltimore, if Lamar Jackson's healthy, and Baltimore is always a solid team. Pittsburgh, if they could, find something better at quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky.
The Bengals are clearly here to stay, especially with them rebuilding their offensive line this offseason.
I mean, the AFC is going to be rough.
If they're in the AFC South, it's a different story because you really don't have to contend with Indy and Tennessee. But
I don't even know
everywhere else. I don't know.
Indy,
I think Indy's gonna be solid.
Well, the quarterback situation,
Matt Ryan's good enough for another year or 2, especially if they can get him a receiver.
That's true. I think
he's already got Jonathan Taylor.
I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be like a 2,000-yard rusher here pretty soon.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I'm excited. I love the NFL draft. So many good conversations, and then they'll lead into rookie training.
But just the talent in the AFC, I think, is significantly better than the NFC.
What does Jameis need?
Receivers
in New Orleans.
When he needs a receiver, he needs a left tackle with Teron Armstead going to Miami.
Let's see
if they could get a guy
the
like
Saints are projecting for him.
If they could get a guy like Garrett Wilson or Jameson Williams, get one of those 2 guys, and then turn right back around and maybe get Trevor Penning.
Yahoo is projecting Chris Olave for the Saints.
Fun. So they need someone that's not Marquez Callaway as their best receiver.
Isn't that crazy? And I like Marquez, but that's
I do too.
Not
but he's just not a number. He's not number 1.
What if Michael Thomas comes back with his head on straight?
They still Marcus Callaway is at a number 2. He needs to be your number 3.
Yep.
Yeah, he needs to be a number 3 guy.
But do you think that Alvin Kamara's days are over as a number 1 back?
I don't think so. Not for me. Too young. I don't believe so. And if Jameis was, if they could actually have a wide receiver room, that would open up a little bit more rest for Alvin.
And they don't have to use him as their best receiver like they did last year.
Yeah, I think things will open up. Isn't it? What's his name?
Look,
Jared Cook.
Yeah.
No,
he was
a veteran, right?
Hold on, I'm looking.
Fine, you got to be our fast researcher, Austin.
I'm on their website right now. So right now on roster, it's Adam Troutman. That's who it is. Their tight end roster right now is Jermaine Johnson, Adam Troutman, and then a whole bunch of guys you never heard of.
I don't know, man.
Why am I thinking Jared?
I mean, they had Jared Cook, a little while ago.
They had him. Yeah, I'm on drugs again.
No,
again.
Yeah.
I want to see Jameis. I wish we could have seen him last year, a full year under Sean Payton, because they were making the playoffs.
Yeah, but also screw Sean Payton. I'm very happy he's retired.
Sure.
Yeah, you can go eat a bag. Still has me blocked on Twitter, asshole. And look who you're starting now, buddy, in Pittsburgh. I told you to start a year and a half ago, clown ball. Let's jump into some basketball and wrap this thing up. There's definitely some. We'll have full coverage. Trust me. Yeah, we'll have full coverage of the NFL draft starting tomorrow, all throughout the day, all the way through probably early next week. So make sure you stay tuned to NoGameDay.com for all of that, and we'll have a podcast next Thursday at 8:30. VZ, we've got basketball stuff going left and right. breaking news stuff happening. Where do you want to start off with? Where do you want to start us?
Start with Butler, because that's what everyone's going to want to talk about.
Yeah.
The declaration deadline Sunday night passed with kind of like a whimper, like no one really heard anything. And then last night the NBA released their entire, let me get the right number, 283 person list of everyone that has put their name into the NBA draft, and both Malik Osborne and John Butler were on the list. I'm expecting both to retain eligibility, but just from what we've heard today, it seems like Butler's kind of leaning towards staying in the draft. Obviously, he has, I think it's 2 months before he was to sign anything. I think the deadline's like July 19th. Because he's one of those guys where he's got such a tantalizing skill set at 7'1", on a good day, 200 pounds, that can shoot the three, block shots, defend really 4 positions, can defend all 90 feet of the court or 94 feet of the court. It's a really, really intriguing skill set. It's just there's no production to back it up. I mean, he averaged less than 6 points per game last year, just a few rebounds. But at the same time, he shot 39% from 3 at that size. That's something a lot of teams are going to look at and go, this could be interesting. But I don't know. I really do not know. He's one of those guys, I think when he signed, everyone's going to be like, oh, he's going to be like a 3 to 4 year guy. And by year 4, he's going to be a beast in Tallahassee. And for him to potentially leave after 1, I don't know how I feel about it. We'll see how this draft process goes. Just from the people I've been talking to, that are in that circle, they want him to come back another year, want to see him, produce a little bit more. At the same time, you can also look at it and go, he struggled with injuries for most of conference play, especially once he hit the heart of it in February. He was dealing with an ankle injury. And you can look at a guy like Chet Holmgren, who's pretty similar body type, pretty similar skill set. Obviously, Holmgren has more production, more history as a guy that's been a blue chip prospect, more hype, obviously, but similar skill sets. I'm not saying they're the same, but Butler can be seen and go, if he can be a top 5 pick, why can't I at least get drafted? I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about it. We'll see how these next few weeks work out.
I don't know if Holmgren and Butler could be put on like this. Not saying you were saying that, but I think Holmgren's just more talented overall.
I'm not saying they're the same caliber player. It's just you can make the argument that's what he's seen. Granted, I'm not that high on Holmgren. I talked a little bit about in the Discord. I'm not that high on Holmgren. I don't even have him in my top 5, which is probably a really hot take. It's just, I don't know. We'll see how these next couple weeks play out. And obviously with Malik Osborne, I think he just strictly hasn't decided yet. Just might as well put your name in. And obviously when 283 guys put their name in, not all 283 guys are going to stay in. There's going to be guys that drop out and go back to college or go back overseas or wherever. So still plenty of time for it to play out. Obviously people hear, oh, he declared for the draft, he's gone. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's been this way for like 5 or 6 years now.
As noted on the article earlier too, which I'm glad that you noted on. That's why we won't dive into being up. So what happens? John Butler's gone. What do you do now with that? Well, that'll be a later conversation.
They've been preparing for it with bringing in Jalen Gainey, who could play, the 4 and the 5 for Florida State this year. You have Cameron Fletcher, who with another year of development can be a really good asset for that team. You bring a guy like Cameron Corrin, who could play the 4 and the 5. And they're still chasing Norchad Omier, who ended up going to Miami thanks to, Ruiz and his NIL deals. But the Florida State's preparing for it either way. They'd obviously love to have him back, but I don't think they're going to wait on him either.
So if he stays, what's your gut tell you? Where's he go?
I mean, if he stays and takes that next jump that we all know he can, I mean, he's a lottery pick next year, no doubt in my mind.
Versus
right now, I don't even know if he gets drafted.
Well, hopefully he's got good, honest people by his side.
We'll see. I mean, I was talking with a guy in the NBA today. He goes, I don't even think he's a second rounder. We'll see how he does, with the combine and with workouts, but I don't know.
Yeah. And then Florida State, we put out a few pieces about a signees, I should say.
Yeah, but both of the transfers signed yesterday in Darren Green Jr., sharpshooter from UCF, and Jalen Gainey, the defensive player of the year from the Ivy League. Both 2 big additions. Yeah, Melvin, you want your shooting. Darren Green is your shooting. That is that's what you want right there. guy who's going to shoot 8 threes a game and make 40% of them. They still might go after one more guy. It's just depending on what John Butler does. There's names still entering in the portal that have a lot of production, have a lot of experience that I think Florida State would benefit going after. I think they're pretty upset that they didn't land Omer, because Omer's a really talented player, especially to see him go to Miami. That one hurts. That one really, really hurts.
Yeah. This is going to be a whole new team coming in, I feel like, next year.
There's only like 5 returning players, maybe 4.
Is that just... It's just now. It's just how, because you're not really used to that too much with Florida State's Leonard Hamilton's teams, but now I think you're starting to see now the transfer portal will get introduced now, and it's finally hitting the basketball program with Leonard Hamilton. I think that's going to be we saw it last year, but it's going to take a little while to get used to. I feel like for him, don't you think? That's just not how it usually works. I feel like for him and his system.
And I think it's also one of those where we're seeing it in football too, where kids don't have a lot of patience anymore, and they just want to play. Or in a Florida State's kind of case, they don't want to be just one of 10 guys; they want to be the guy.
But doesn't you think too? I mean, you look at guys coming off the bench and being stars like Pat Williams, Scotty Barnes. Even you got to think that too has got to help in recruiting, right?
For sure, but not everyone's built the same. Some players don't have that mentality. They want to do what's best for them, and they think averaging 20 points and 10 assists and 3 rebounds is going to help them get drafted, and it might. But at the same time, you look at, Pat Williams, who averaged 9 points and 4 rebounds, be the 4th overall pick. Really, in the NBA, what you do between the season and before you get drafted matters more than anything in the NBA.
Speaking of NBA, how are our NBA Knowles doing? I don't want to talk about one that got smoked last night. That's all over highlights.
Beasley got
toasted. Where's Dustin to talk about Scotty Barnes?
Oh, that is true.
He's avoiding the smoke of Scotty Barnes winning Rookie of the Year.
That's exactly what it is.
I should be wearing my Scotty jersey right now.
Yep, Scotty Barnes, Rookie of the Year winner. And Dustin's not on here. If people are just now listening or whichever missed it, but earlier in the last NBA drafts, Dustin predicted for Scotty not to have a great NBA.
He's going
to be a bust. And that's why he's not here tonight.
On a playoff team that's going to come back from 3-0. I'm calling it right now on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't trust Doc Rivers. I don't trust James Harden.
Yeah, I mean,
they're going back to Toronto for Game 6. Yeah, it doesn't. Shut up. I know you're listening. You can text the group chat all you want.
Yeah, he's trying, huh?
He's trying.
Yeah, no, he is texting. Yeah, no, he is. Look at him listening in, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Malik Beasley died last night. I mean,
that was
he did. We did lose. We did lose Malik. Has anybody heard from him?
I don't know. I mean, that was we've seen John Morant get so close on so many dunks.
Yeah, and of course it's on him, man. In the friggin' playoffs.
That was filthy.
John's special, man. I mean, I know I've raved about him enough from when we played him in the tournament. That dude's he's a different kind of talent.
That's just nasty. And
then you can look at Pat, who's in his first playoffs is like, oh yeah, you have to guard Giannis for 30 minutes a game. Have fun, man.
That sucks.
It's not going too well. He's looked pretty good offensively, but trying to guard Giannis, I mean, good luck, man.
They don't have anybody else to put on him?
No, that team is so devoid of big wings. Nate knows as a Bulls fan. They just don't have anybody that can. I mean, granted, nobody can guard Giannis at this stage in his career, but especially the Bulls, it's Pat and pretty much nobody else.
I think it's one reason why they took a step back as the season went on.
They also dealt with injuries. Like, Zach LaVine missed a lot of time. Lonzo missed the second half of the season. Caruso missed a lot of time.
Plus, Billy Donovan just sucks.
See, I like Billy Donovan. I don't know how good he is as an NBA coach. I think he's at least average. But they need to stay healthy more than anything. Because, I mean, Pat missed all but 15 games.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Is that every NBA, Noel?
I mean, Trent hasn't been playing because he's dealing with a foot injury. The Spurs didn't make it. Terrence Mann and the Clippers didn't make it.
Yeah.
Um,
Still a good amount of Knowles in here, though.
Am I missing anybody? I think that's everybody. Scotty, Pat, Malik, Trent. Yeah, I think that's it.
Cal McGilly doing his thing, and the
they won the G League championship with the
him.
Rio Grande Vipers.
Good for him.
Put him on a roster, please. He's too talented not to be.
Need to put him on this show, VZ.
I've tried a couple times. One time he said yes, and then we had some scheduling issues. And the second time he said no. So I mean, we'll
now's the perfect time that we could get him on to talk about maybe the playoffs, NBA Knowles playoffs. I'll take him one-on-one to the rim right now.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Not even worried about that.
You
still haven't raced freaking Carlos yet.
I keep telling him. I see him all the time. He's just not in shape for me right now. He's not in shape. I'm in one of my best shapes ever.
Remember when we were supposed to do that podcast this week?
Yeah, well, that's a great point. But we all forgot that the NFL draft was Thursday. So
no, I don't say all because I did not forget. That was the first thing I said when we got off.
Well, I knew it was Thursday, but then I forgot we had a show on Thursday nights that we've been doing for 2+ years on this night. So kind of forgot about that. Oopsie daisies. But yeah, we're looking to have Carlos and Kenny on for a dual combo piece, maybe hopefully next week. But there's just been so much new stuff going on, and then we had to switch things around this week. So sadly, the people had to get us once again by ourselves. But hopefully we'll have a couple of months and a couple weeks of guests on here to not annoy people with just our faces all the time. I want to deep. My goal for Kenny and Carlos is just like to deep dive into that 2012, 2013. Like just dive into it. You know, we always ask like the outside question stuff, but I want to just like dive into some of the secret sauce that was going on in that locker room and stuff, man. And I feel like those two would be perfect.
I think 2014 be more of a story.
Well, Los has talked a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Reggie Northrup has too.
At this point, I can't wait to get the guys around that. Like they're at the end of the Jimbo era and the first couple years of the Taggart era. I want to start getting those guys on because I know they've got some stories.
We've had Murray on. We've had Nooney on. That ended up.
I want a few more guys.
Well, yeah, I want a lot more. But yeah, Nooney ended up being one of our most listened pods just because of that case. You know,
that's what I'm saying. People love hearing
drama.
Yeah.
That's the backstory.
Yeah. Yep. They want to know why things went badly. As much as we love the 2013 team, people also love to hate the Taggart era. So,
Well, it's very easy to do that.
Well, we'll get a roundup of a few guests this offseason. Not too worried about that. We'll get some guys and current players, current staff members. I still want to get Coach Storms in here to see if I'm lifting of the magnitude of Robert Cooper or not. I don't know.
I guess we should also mention that FC officially announced RJ Barsh being hired for the basketball team.
Yeah.
I think it was officially announced yesterday.
New assistant.
Big time pickup. He was getting a lot of love on Twitter. Jamal Crawford shouted it out. Dwayne Bacon,
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that
I was like, hold up, is that the Isaiah Thomas that I know? Because I'm not a major basketball follower, but I was like, that is the Isaiah Thomas shouting out Florida State's new assistant. Maybe Isaiah Thomas comes pop into Tallahassee.
Which Isaiah Thomas was it? I gotta look.
Celtics.
The Celtics Isaiah, not the real one.
But because that was that.
Oh, then I might.
This is a true story. That Isaiah Thomas, the Pistons Isaiah Thomas, I want to say like his nephew went to Florida State while I was there and was like doing ESPN like camera stuff for him. So like he came to one of our exhibition games. There's a picture on my Instagram of me and Isaiah Thomas and outside the locker room after one game because he came and talked to the team.
Oh, that's pretty fire.
Yeah.
That's pretty fire. Philip's coming in here asking on YouTube. Logan, as a Steelers fan, I know who you want for first pick. I want Malik, says Philip, and I also want Malik Willis. We do need a quarterback.
All of our teams?
Yeah, but I want to first say that Mitchell Trubisky, I will, I'm gonna wish the best for it, but I'm in complete shock. I don't know what must have happened. I don't know if the Saints offered a little bit better of a thing for Jameis, but it completely shocked me. While before getting on on a 6-day cruise, going to go enjoy myself, a little break from social media to see that we freaking brought in Mitchell Trubisky. I want Malik Willis. That's our future quarterback. If we don't put a trade up tomorrow and get him, because I was a big advocate for Najee Harris. I said we were going to go grab Najee. It's going to happen and end up happening. I'm going to say that we're grabbing Malik Willis tomorrow. But I don't trust this draft. People are saying we got to trade up to get him. Some are saying that he's going to last all the way down to 20. I don't believe that fully. I don't think he's going to drop down to 20.
At some point, the team's going to get desperate. Quarterback's by far the most valuable position. Teams are going to go up and get a quarterback, especially Willis, who's got all the right tools.
Love you, Carol, for coming in here. Could go. She's thinking number 2. She's thinking number 2.
Unless Hutch goes 1. And Detroit's like, well, I just don't want to have to root for another FSU guy in my same division.
Timmy, the cookout news here. Tallahassee's getting a cookout. I guess it was a really battle between Louisville fans and Florida State fans and Tallahassee people. But got a cookout restaurant.
Louisville has to hate Florida State.
That's going to be clutch, man.
Louisville State's losing.
Cookout is phenomenal.
See, I don't know about phenomenal, but it's cheap, which is why it's good.
Cookout is phenomenal. Okay.
You got to remember, Whataburger is one of Nate's most favorite prized possession places to go eat. Which I'm not. There's no knock on Whataburger.
My name is not Dustin.
Dustin is 4 weeks off of fast food, by the way.
I wouldn't call it a favorite. It's good.
It's like a B tier.
Yeah.
Because when you combine the price with the food, it's makes it worth it. That's why you see me eating it, because I can get it for $6 on my way home. I can eat during the podcast. What saved my cookout tray was the cheese bites. Getting the cheese bites was a game changer.
Now you're getting me hungry now. Let's keep it up. I want to get more hungry. What's your pick going to be, Nate, for the Bears? Who do you want? Y'all need a new quarterback, right?
Well, they don't have a pick until like the 3rd round, right?
Yeah, they don't have
I'm joking.
They don't have a pick in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. So who do you want in the 3rd round?
The best wide receiver available. The best wide receiver or the best tackle. Because whether or not Justin Fields is the quarterback of that team.
The Bears are another team like the Falcons. They just need anything. They just need something there. They just need talent.
They got a little bit of juice on defense.
I mean, but you traded away Khalil Mack. Akeem Hicks is gone.
Well,
you have Roquan Smith, but
you traded away Khalil Mack because they understand
cut Eddie Goldman.
They're a couple years away. I mean,
they're more than a couple years away.
Get what you can out of Khalil Mack. Get some, get something to build on. Get some picks. Get something. So, I just think that within 4 years, Fields will have that team as a playoff team.
I need my new quarterback. This is one of the best quarterbacks ever in NFL history. If definitely top three.
Who?
Oh, that's been Roethlisberger. I don't know if you can't see it or not on your tiny phone, but we'll be replacing him with Malik Willis. It's going to take a long while for him to get going. I don't think anybody will live up to Big Ben's legacy, not only in Pittsburgh, but the NFL alone. What he did for this nation. But Malik Willis is going to be my new quarterback.
The females are definitely safer. The females at Pittsburgh are definitely
the defenses that he faced. The defenses, the defenses he faced. Yeah.
Not last year. Last year, the teams were happy to play the Steelers when Ben was playing.
No.
Getting that noodle arm.
No.
The females are definitely feeling more safe.
Now it's time to get out of here. But hope everybody enjoys the NFL draft starting tomorrow night, prime time. We will see if Jermaine Johnson, this would be potentially a top 5 pick, which the last time that happened was Jalen Ramsey and
turned out pretty
good. The friggin' Jaguars.
He turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I think Jalen did pretty good. Usually Florida State defenders do pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Even, you saw Derwin James drop, but you saw how idiotic that was.
That was just awful.
That was idiotic.
That shows you how devalued safeties are nowadays, that Derwin went 17th.
Isn't that crazy? And Dalvin, I don't even want to talk about Dalvin. Don't even get me started.
But
Dalvin's a running back.
But on the flip side,
look at him. How much
on the flip side, Derwin goes out and has an All-Pro
rookie
season, and then
gets hurt for 2 straight years.
And then the Cardinals go and take Simmons. They overdraft for him, thinking that they took him at 9. I think it was
8 or 9.
So thinking that he could be another Derwin. So Derwin may have been undervalued, but I think he also flipped the switch on that.
Mm-hmm.
Derwin's the best safety in the game.
I mean, but we're also seeing that with Kyle Hamilton this year, where, for a long time he's a top 5 prospect. Now it's not even sure he's going to go top 15.
Yeah, I saw one where he dropped to 14.
I saw one today where he dropped to 20 or 21.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Well, It's because he went out and ran like a 4.8.
Yeah, it was like a 4.62 or something.
I don't know that interception he had against FSU where he came across from the other sideline.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Was one of the best plays I've ever seen. And you could see it happening live. As soon as he saw it, man, I don't give a shit what he runs on the 40. This guy got to that other sideline very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can tell that we do like the NFL draft here, so we did spend a good amount of time on it. Yeah, we love the NFL draft. We'll have full coverage for you guys starting tomorrow. Make sure you guys stay tuned to that. We'll be recording next Thursday at 8:30. That's our usual time. I know it's a little weird this week, but we'll be back into the rotation in about 8 days from now. We'll see if Jermaine Johnson gets top 5. We'll see. Going to be a fun night for FSU fans, nonetheless, to be watching the 2022 NFL draft. Everybody enjoy the weekend. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Appreciate everybody listening in to us this evening, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.